Hi students, welcome to the science class. In today's session, under the chapter of the living organisms, characteristics and habitats, we are going to know about what are the characteristics of the organisms and what are the habitats. See here, the characteristics of the organisms are dependent on their habitats and habitats are dependent on their characteristics. Habitats means the living places. For example, we are going after any work, we return to our house. So the house, our home, it is our habitat. Like that, for the living organisms, for the wild animals, the habitat it is their forest. That's like some of the different types of the animals are going to be present in a different area. Why? Because I am considering one example here. Himalayan leopard. Himalayan leopard, it is present only in Himalayan series. Why it is present in Himalaya? Why it is not present in Karnataka? Because due to the sum of the characteristics which are present in the Himalayan leopard, that will be helps to that organism to live at that places. Because the condition of Himalaya, it is very cold condition, isn't it? So the sum of the characteristics which are present in that organisms, it is helpful for to live in that places. So some different types of the animals are present in a different types of the habitats. Again I am taking the fishes. The fishes are present always inside the water. They are not present at the land. Why? Because their body structure, their characteristics are adjusted to only in the water. Therefore they are present inside the water. So water it is habitat for the different types of the fishes, like that. So what are the characteristics which decides an animal, which decides an organism to live in a particular habitat? That will be studied in this session. That will be seen now under the lesson of the living organisms, characteristics and habitat. Pahli and Bojo went on a vacation to many places of interest. On such a trip, look them to the river Ganga in Rishikesh. See, Pahli and Bojo, these are the two friends, as you know already. They plan to go some places in their vacations. In the vacation holidays, they plan to go some different types of the places to see the beautiness of that places. Where they decided to go? They decided to go to look up or to take a trip at the river Ganga in Rishikesh. They climbed the mountains of the Himalayas where it was very cold. So in the trip they go to the Himalaya and they climbed the Himalayan mountains. So in that place the temperature it is very low. That means the very cold temperature is present. They saw many kinds of trees on these mountains that are oaks, pines and deodars, very different from the ones near their home on the plains. See, their home it is present in the plains. When they are going to the trip for the Himalaya, they are going to see different types of the trees are present in that Himalaya. That are nothing but oaks, then the pines and the deodars. See, these are the different types of the plants which are present in the Himalayan mountains. Those are not present in the plains. Those are not present in the other areas. Very different plants. In another trip, they traveled to Rajasthan and moved on a camel through the hot desert. See here, in the first trip, they go to the very cold place. In that cold place, they saw the different types of the plants. And in the other trip, they go to the Rajasthan. It is a very hot place. One it is a very cold place and another one it is a very hot place. In that hot place, they saw the desert and the different type of animal which is present in the deserts are nothing but camels. They see camels. They collected different kinds of the cactus plants from this trip. At the time of the first trip, when they go to Himalaya, they see different types of the trees like oaks tree, deodars tree and pines tree. But when they go to the deserts, when they go to the Rajasthan, they see another type of the different type of the trees that are nothing but the trees are kinds of the trees are nothing but cactus plants. The cactus plants which are present in the deserts, they are collected some samples of the cactus. Finally, they went on a trip to Puri and visited the sea beach, dotted with the Kasurina trees, while recollecting all the fun that they had on these trips. See, after the final trip, they go to the Puri and it is present at the beaches. So, in that beaches, they are going to collect the different types of the plants which are present in the beaches. After onwards, with the help of collecting all the materials in a different trips, they are going to explain what different types of the plants are present in a different places. A thought struck them. All these places were so different from one another. Some were cold, some were very hot and dry, and some places so humid. And yet all of them had many organisms of various kinds. See, when they go to the trips, they first went to the Himalaya, after onwards to Rajasthan, after onwards to Puri. These are having different kinds of the environmental conditions. So, in that different places, they are going to see different types of the plants as well as different types of the animals. The animals which are present in the Himalaya are not present in the deserts, that is in the Rajasthan. The animals which are present in the deserts, they are not present in the Himalaya. Isn't it? Like that, the plants which are present in the Himalaya, they will be not present in the Puri. Like that, they are going to see different types of the animals and plants in a different places. They try to think of a place on earth where there may not be any living creatures. After onwards, the one thinking will comes in the Bojo's mind. That is nothing but they are trying to search a place on a earth surface where no living organisms will be present. Bojo thought of a place near his home. Inside the house, he tried inside the cupboard. He had thought that there may not be any living organisms here. See, the Pahali think about that, where the place where no organisms will be present. She thought that in our house, no organisms will be present. But at that time, she find out some insects are present. Like that, he next going to think about the cupboard which is present in our home, in her house. In that also, some of the different types of the insects are present. Like that, she is going to think about the place which there is no organisms are present. He had thought that there may not be any living organisms here, but he found one tiny spider in the cupboard. Outside the home too, there did not seem to be any place he could think of that did not have a living creatures of some kind or the other. See, after onwards, he thought about the places outside her house, and that place also she is going to find out some different types of the living organisms present. After onwards, she come to know that on the earth surface, there is no places are present without any living organisms. In all the places, some kind of living organisms are always present. Pahali started thinking and reading about the far away places. She read that people have even found tiny living organisms in the openings of volcanoes. See here, after onwards, the Pahali started to read about different places which are present on the earth surface to find out that is there any place is present without having any living organisms. But in that way, she found that in the volcanoes also, at the opening of the volcanoes also, some living organisms are present. Organisms and the surrounding where they live. Another thought that occurred to Pahali and Bojo was about the kinds of living organisms that were present in different locations that they had visited. After onwards, the Pahali and Bojo starts thinking about the different types of the animals present in a different part of a places, different kinds of the places which they visited. Isn't it? They visited Himalaya, they visited Rajasthan, they visited Puri. So, in all these three places, they saw different types of the animals are present. According to that place, they are going to list out which type of the animals are present in which places. The deserts had camels, the mountains had goats and elk, and Puri had some other creatures, crabs on the beach, and such a variety of fish being caught by the fisherman at the sea. See, At the mountains, Himalayan mountains, they saw yaks and the goats. In the Himalayan mountains, at the place of Himalayan mountains, they see the animals like yaks and the goats. And in the deserts, like in the Rajasthan, they used to see the different types of the animals called camels. And at the Puri, at the sea, at the bank of the sea, they are going to see different types of the fishes. And then there did seem to be some creatures like ants that were present in all these different locations. But even though when they visited all different types of these three places, the small ant is present all over these places. The animals which are present in the Himalaya, that will be not present in the Rajasthan. The animals which are present in the Rajasthan, that will be not present in the Puri. But they observed one thing, the ants which present in the Himalaya, or the ants are present all over the places which they are visited. Ants will be present in the Puri, ants will be present in the Rajasthan, and ants will be present in Himalaya also. Then question arises, why? Because why they present in all the situation, all the places, but all the animals are not present at all the places. The kinds of plants found in each of these regions were so different from the plants of the other regions, and with that they observed the different types of the plants, in different regions. In the Himalaya there is a different plants are present. In the Rajasthan they used to see different plants. In the Puri also they used to see different plants. The plants are very different according to the places. Some of the animals are also changes, but the ant is present all over. What about the surroundings? What about the surrounding in these different regions where they same? Let us find out about that from the activity 1. Let us start with the forest. Think of all the plants, animals and objects that can be found there. List the column 1 in column 1 of table 9.1. List the things, animals and plants found in the other regions that are also shown in the table. See, let us start with the forest. Think of all the plants, animals and objects that can be found there. So first we have to think of the forest. In the forest, all the animals which they see in the Himalaya, which they see in the deserts, which they see in the bank of the sea, that will be present in the forest. Let us first think about only forest. Is all kinds of the animals are present in the forest? Then next, list them in a column 1 of table 9.6. So which type of the animals, which type of the plants were present in the forest, that will be listed in the given column 1. List the things, animals and the plants found in the other regions that are also shown in the table. You can collect the examples of scattered through this chapter to fill table 9.1. Discuss also with your friends, parents and teachers to find more examples to fill the tables. You can also consult many interesting books in libraries that talk of animals, plants and minerals of different regions. See, in the textbook they are given here one column 1. In that column 1, in the first column 1, in the forest, you have to write down the name of the animals or the name of the different plants which you are going to see in the forest. On the mountains, which type of the animals are present and which type of the plants are present, that you should write in the second column 1. And in the deserts, which type of the animals are present, which type of the plants are present, that will be right here. And in the sea, what type of the animals are present, what type of the plants are present, as in the sea also, under the water, the different types of the plants are present. And last one, it is any other. Any other habitats, these places are nothing but habitats. In any other places, if the different types of the plants or animals are present, that will be listed here. I am considering one example here. In the forest, we are going to see different types of the wild animals like lions, tigers, and trees like banyan tree, isn't it? Like different types of the trees are present in the sandal tree, that will be present in the forest. On the mountains, some of the different types of the animals are present, like a fox, isn't it? And rabbits, that will be present on the mountains. In the deserts, what we are going to see? Camel we can see, and the cactus plants are present. And in the sea different types of the fishes are present, and different types of the spongy plants are present. Like that, you are going to consider in any such places in that which different types of the animals are present or the plants are present, that will be listed here with the help of your parents or with the help of different books. Try and include many plants and animals and objects, big and small, in each of the columns in this table. So, in this table, try to list out the big animals, try to list out the small animals. Like that, you have to list out the different types of the animals in these columns. What kind of objects will find that may not be animals or plants? Perhaps parts of plants like dried leaves or parts of animals like bones. We may also find different kinds of soils and pebbles. Water in the oceans may have salts dissolved in it, discussed in chapter 5. See here, also when we are going to discuss, when you are going to collect the samples, when you are going to collect the information about the plants and animals, we can also get different types of the different things here, like the leaves of the plants, isn't it, dead leaves of the plant, dead remainings of the animals, isn't it, that will be present in the forest. Like that, as we go through the chapter, keep adding more examples to table 9.1. We will discuss the table as we travel through many interesting places. See, you have to add the different types of the animals, different types of the plants which you are going to see in the different types of the places like a forest, desert, mountain, isn't it, like that? You have to add the examples. Next, it is habitat and adaptations. Habitat and adaptations. What do you find from the plants and animals listed in activity 1? Did you find a large variety in them? Look at what you have entered in the column for the desert and column for the sea in table 9.1. So, when you are going to list out the animals, when you are going to list out the plants in this table, you are going to see some of the similarities, similar characteristics in between the different animals present in a single place. For example, I am taking the forest. In the forest, we are going to see tiger, we are going to see lion, we are going to see bear, isn't it? Like different wild animals are present in the forest. What are the similar characteristics which we are going to see in the animals? They are all wild animals. They are going to eat other animals as a food, isn't it? Like that, they have a long hairs on their body. Like that, such a different, some characteristics are similar in a different animals. Look what you have entered in the column for the desert and the column for the sea in the table 9.1. Did you list very different kind of the organisms in these two columns? When we are going to see in the desert and in the sea. In the desert, we are going to find only the animals like a camel. But in the sea, we are going to find out different types of the fishes. We are going to see the cactus like plants only in the deserts. But in the sea, we are going to see different types of the plants are present. What are the surroundings like in these two regions? When we are going to consider the region of Himalaya, when we are going to consider the region of Rajasthan, when we are going to consider the region of Puri, they have a different environmental conditions. So, what are that environmental conditions? In the sea, plants and animals are surrounded by a saline water. So, in the sea, as we are going to see, the sea it is present, sea always fulfilled with the saline water. Saline water means salty water. So, the plants which are present inside the water, they are surrounded with the saline water. Most of them use the air dissolved in the water. There is a very little water available in the desert. It is very hot in the daytime and very cold at the night in the desert. So, when we are going to compare the desert with the sea having large amount of the water, but it is a saline water. When we are going to see in the desert, deserts have a very less amount of water, and the temperature of desert is very high at the daytime, and at the night it is very cold. There is a little water available in the desert. It is very hot in the daytime and very cold at the night in the desert. The animals and plants of the deserts live on the desert soil and breathe air from the surroundings. But when we are going to consider the animals which are present in the water, they are going to get the oxygen, they are going to get the air which is dissolved in the water. But the animals which are present on the desert, they are going to get the oxygen, they are going to get the air from the surrounding. The sea and the desert are a very different surroundings, and we find very different kind of plants and animals in the two regions. See, the sea it is a different kind of a region, and a desert it is a different kind of a region. Sea filled with the water, in the desert there is no water. Sea has a very high temperature and the desert has a very high temperature, but sea has a medium temperature. So we are considering two different places with two different types of the environmental conditions. The sea and the deserts are a very different surroundings, and we find very different kinds of the plants and animals. So in these different kinds of the places, we are going to see different kinds of the plants and different kinds of the animals. Let us look at two very different kinds of organisms from the desert and the sea, a camel and a fish. See, now I am considering two different types of the animals. One it is a camel. One it is camel from the deserts, and another one is a fish from sea. Okay, so I am considering two different kinds of the animals. One it is a camel and the fish. The body structure of the camel helps to survive in the desert condition. See, the body structure we have to discuss here. The body structure of the camel, it is helpful to survive. It is helpful to survive, to live in the deserts. And the body structure of the fish. Body structure of the fish helps to survive inside the water. Camels have a long legs camels have a long legs which helps to keep their bodies away from the heat of the sun. As I discussed already, the deserts have a very high temperature during day. In the deserts has a very high temperature during the day. So we are going to see the body structure of the camel. Camel has a very long legs, isn't it? So that keeps the body of the camel away from the earth's surface. As the temperature increases, the heat of the earth also increases. So if the body it is somewhat away from the earth's surface, it doesn't get the heat. It is the first character which we are going to see in the which we are going to see in the camel, which helps to live in the deserts. Next, they excrete a small amount of urine. Their dung is dry and they do not sweat. See here, the camels are going to excrete very less amount of the urine. Why? Because the amount of the water which is present in the desert, it is very less. It is used to drink the water very less, then it is used to excrete the urine very less. Next, their dung is very dry and they do not produce the sweat. You have to remember here, the camel doesn't produce the sweat. Why it doesn't produce the sweat? Because the water percentage which is present in the deserts, the water percentage which is present in the camel, it is very less. I got understood. So it is adjusted to the desert because it has these capacities. Next, since camels lose very little water from their bodies, they can live for many days without water. From this we come to know that camel is usually, it is loses very less amount of the water, so it can survive in the deserts without the water for the long time, isn't it? So the what are the main characteristics, main properties which the camel has? It is nothing but it has a long legs. It has a long legs which keeps its body away from the earth's surface, that is away from the heat. Another one, it excretes very less amount of the urine, excretes less amount of the urine, less amount of the urine. Next, it do not sweat, it do not sweat, isn't it? So these main properties which are helpful for the camel to live in the desert. Why? Because the water percentage which is present in the desert, it is a very less. So if it loses the water very quickly, then it needs water very quickly, very largely. So it doesn't loses the water very quickly and very largely, therefore it needs water in a very small amount. It uses the water very small amount, and also in the deserts we are going to find out very small amount of the water. Using that small amount of the water, camel may survive in the deserts. So it is very clear that the properties of the camel, it is helpful to survive in the deserts. Is it clear? That's why the camels are always present in the deserts. There is no other animals are present in the deserts, but camels are present. Why? Because they have these different types of the properties. So this is all about, only I am discussing the camel with its properties and one of the habitat called desert. In the next session, we are going to continue with the fish. What are the body structure of the fish, what are the properties of the fish, and what is the habitat, that will be discussed in next class. Thank you.